Yo everyone, today I'll be going over Brewmaster and Dragonflight and I'll be giving you my thoughts and impressions based on the first couple rounds of M+ testing. Brewmaster is pretty unique in how it plays, and despite all the concerns that people have had, I think the spec is in a solid spot right now. I do expect some tuning on certain things, but with this you should get a decent idea of what's going on with the spec on beta right now. Now there's a lot of good choices going on within the brew tree and a lot ties into each other, so it's hard to identify what the best performing build is, but here are the two setups I've been running. The first plays around Bonedust brew, which has large amounts of synergy with exploding keg and charred passions, and the second utilises weapons of order in its synergy with double keg smash. One talent I do want to touch on before we move on is blackout combo. Now I haven't taken it in these two builds, but I actually really enjoyed playing with this. If used correctly, it's very strong, has crazy potential, and changes the way you think about your rotation a bit. When it comes to keys, Brewmaster feels pretty good to play so far. The playstyle has shifted a lot in comparison to Shadowlands, moving away from our tier set, making us focus more on charred passions uptime and using our heals effectively. I've heard a lot of complaints that you're starved for globals with the new playstyle, but it's something I never particularly ran into. Dragonflight puts more of an emphasis back on damage smoothing through purifying brew and other cooldowns, and making good use of instant vivifiers and well-timed expel harms. You have the ability to top yourself from dangerously low to basically full HP in a single global with a crit, and it's extremely satisfying. I would have liked to have retained our healing on keg smash, but brew definitely doesn't feel bad once you've adjusted to the new playstyle. There are so many interactions and synergies tied to your rotational abilities now in comparison to Shadowlands, which makes it feel pretty interesting to play, and I'll try to break it down in a way that makes sense. For those of you who are Torghast enjoyers, you'll remember Hit Scheme. It's making an appearance in Dragonflight, and with the addition of shadowboxing treads, it means not only are our blackout kicks doing much more damage, but our keg smashes too. Whenever you blackout kick on 3 or more targets, it buffs your keg smash by 30%. Your new multi-target blackout kick now also provides additional stacks of elusive brawler, even more so with elusive footwork, almost guaranteeing a dodge per use. This in turn provides you with a 100% damage increase on your next Tiger Bomb or Spinning Crane Kick from Counter Strike, and to top it all off, both Blackout Kick and Crane Kick interact with Charred Passions for extra damage. It might sound a little bit overwhelming, but it's not, I promise. Moving on, you can achieve 100% uptime with Breath of Fire and Charred Passions now, all because of this talent that I'm not even going to try to pronounce, making it so your keg smashes reset the cooldown of your Breath of Fire. Also 100% uptime on Rushing Jadewind is as important as ever, as now it procs your new Resonant Fists more often, on top of adding to the new dot portion of Exploding Kegs. Bonedust brew works extremely well with Exploding Keg, and is a very strong damage option in combination, whereas Weapons of Order provides a good damage bonus as well as a further defensive benefit in the form of Mastery. How you use Exploding Keg with the two different abilities changes slightly depending on what you play, but both are seemingly viable options, and I couldn't decide what I liked more. They've also thrown Rising Sun Kick into the mix, however Brewmaster doesn't have access to the Mortal Strike effect, meaning you only use this on 1 to 2 targets. Defensively, we now have an instant Vivifier at our disposal, as well as a crazy amount of healing tied to expel harm. We now have Dampen, Diffuse and Bob and Weave that can all be taken simultaneously now, something we never had the option to do before. You also have some new utility in the form of auras, being Close to Heart and Generous Pour. The healing taken from Close to Heart is at baseline very strong for brew because it works with all of your self-sustain as well as your Celestial Fortune passive. On the other side you have Generous Pour, which only works on avoidance you have on your gear and doesn't provide any benefit if you have none, which would be extremely valuable for high keys. The only issue with both of these in regards to group utility is that it has a very small range of 10 yards, so I doubt it will see a ton of optimal group use. Brewmaster is dealing some of the highest damage numbers out of all of the tanks right now. He has extremely high AoE burst with Exploding Keg, and extremely high sustained damage outside of cooldowns due to Charred Passions and Resonant Fists. Its single target is decent comparatively despite some noticeable bugs as well. Defensively it feels a little bit weaker than some of its tankier counterparts, but if you play it well it's almost unkillable. With so many options now I've never really felt unsafe, and it's always satisfying when expel harm crits. Celestial Brew is as strong as ever, scaling well into the new expansion, and with so many talents helping reduce the CD of your brews, you shouldn't ever really feel starved for them. As for my own personal enjoyment of the spec, I had a blast playing it. Brewmaster has always been a personal favourite of mine, but I would have liked to have seen us retain some of the more niche utility like Clash, which although is still on the spec tree, you'll never really take it as you're pretty much starved for points. I had a lot of fun messing around with the Transcendence trait Escape from Reality, as well as a few other things like the off healing with Soothing Mists, so I'm pretty excited to see how things pan out in Dragonflight. All in all, I think Brewmaster is in a solid spot right now. It's most likely not going to be the best tank for keys, but it's definitely very strong. It feels good having additional cooldowns in comparison to before, and I think bringing more skill expression to a historically very simple tank is always a good thing. Playing this at a high level should be a bit more challenging now, and as for the tree itself, I do wish that Nizal was stronger since you're forced into taking it, as well as it feeling odd that you're forced into taking a Tiger Palm talent to get a Crane Kick talent. Despite it all, I do have thoughts about a more defensive build that doesn't revolve around Crane Kick and Shard Passions, which is still good damage, but I'll save that for another day. Thank you all for watching, and be ready for me to drop more content on the other tanks. I stream a lot over on my Twitch, which is where I got most of the footage and data for this video, so if you ever want to catch me when I'm live, the link is in the description. I'll most likely be dropping more content outside of these videos, and I've had a lot of people asking about guides and other things in the new expansion, which I'll probably be working on once things are live. But for now, much love, until next time.